I was reading a UEFA report about managers and how many managerial casualties there've been in top divisions in Europe in the last season, and they've come to the conclusion that a managerial lifespan, albeit at the top level, is shorter than it's ever been. A year and 1.3 years, I think it was. It just... I wonder whether that trickles down. I wonder whether you feel that situation is the same across the board in football these days, you know, going down the Football League into non-league. Are we living in a less patient sporting society?
I think the lower leagues, the League Two and League One, is the worst for it. I think it was 1.1 year, I think, and that was touching on 1 year. So I think that was last year. So yeah, you know, the problem that you got is, well, you can have a lot of opinions on why it's the case. I think society in general, and because communication is very easy now with that internet, as we say in East Lancashire. And you know, you've got your message boards, your forums, your Facebook, Twitter, what have you, Instagram and all that, and it's all immediate gratification, and people can air their views far readily, and some people take notice of them, and I think people have an inclination to believe what they read rather than what they hear. And you know, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, there's only results tell, don't they?
How hard is it to have a long-term plan then?
Well, like Stalin.
No, not like that.
Was that a 5-year plan, Stalin? I'm going back to the annals of my history lessons here. Was it a 5-year plan, Stalin?
I think so.
Yeah. Where that's just come from. Yeah, it is. You know, the future is very much now, isn't it? And so it's very difficult to plan ahead and have a vision. And possibly you can if you've got enough money to buy your time. Can you buy time? Yeah, so and I don't think it is possible unless you have got enough money that you can weather any storms that are going to come your way during that plan. But you're always looking to try and achieve some kind of result, some kind of purpose, and consequently, you're always open to be judged.
And therefore, in the short term, can opinions change really quickly? I look at your results in the last month, and you went to Notts County and you could have been top of the league if you'd won the game. You then lose back-to-back games. You're in the sort of mid-table section. You've lost to two teams who were up there in second and third. Does that change the mood music outside of your coach's office?
Possibly, but we're not party to what goes on outside our office, are we really? We know that there's areas we need to improve on, and so that's our main focus. Other people's opinions of us can, they can have them, but we can't really govern that, other than get better results to change their opinions somewhat. But we know there's areas that we need to improve on. We already knew that when we'd gone to Salford and won, and when we'd won at home against Harrogate. Was it Harrogate? Harrogate, yeah. So we already knew, and even the Newport game in the first game of the season, we knew there's areas to improve, and we are quite a young side, so we know it is going to be a work in progress. And we're not at a stage where, or we weren't at a stage in January, in the summer window where we could just go and sign established players. So you've got to be mindful of the fact that you're trying to grow players and you're trying to enhance what you get in as a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Trying to make them better, and it's trying to get them to learn the game. And some of the mistakes that we made, not just us, by the way. I watch a lot of other games, and some of the mistakes that are made are quite basic, and you're thinking, you're going back to 10 and 12-year-old coaching here, but unfortunately, it still happens at that top flight. So, you know, we just have to keep reminding the lads of the responsibilities of how we want to play the game and what we want to, what style we want to play. And we're mindful of the fact that we want to enthrall the fans. And going forwards on Saturday, you know, the 2 goals were a body blow. You know, there's no getting away from that. And we've dissected them, and the 3 goals are avoidable. But we didn't do enough to enthrall our fans going the other way, going forward. And so that's got to be our focus certainly when we play at home. But I think in this league, you've got to attack more. And I spoke about it last week about the game being a territorial thing, and it was very much a midfield war of attrition on Saturday. Neither team really hurt the other, really. And you know, when they got their opportunities, they were very ruthless with them, and we weren't. Not that we made as many opportunities as we'd like. So I think we need to get back to attacking, getting balls into the box, making chances. You know, and I don't ever want to see games when we play at home, and we could be playing Real Madrid or Man City. We should have more than 2 shots on target at home. That's just a fact. So we've got to take responsibility for that, and we've got to try and, you know, come up with a plan that sees us get more shots on target.
You've just played Notts County and Mansfield, who are currently 2nd and 3rd, I think. Is it still too early in the season to look at top clubs in the division and clubs that are struggling down the bottom end, or do you have to look at Sutton and how many points they've got so far and say, at home, this is a different proposition than playing Mansfield?
Every game we play is going to be a different proposition. I won't be judging anyone in this league till I've seen them play, and I've played against them. So, you know, then you can have your opinions. So yeah, it is far too early to be talking in them terms.
When you've not got the points return you would like, whether that's maximum points if you're aiming to be at the top end of the table, or you know, whatever that benchmark is, does that change your approach to games? How important is it to be calm and not worry about those things at this point?
I think, you know, anyone who knows myself, Jimmy, John Doolan, will know that we're pretty much an open book, really. We don't really change our approach to games, whether it's an EFL game, whether it's an FA Cup game, whether it's a league game. You can't want to win more than what we do. So, you know, everyone who goes this 110, 150% is nonsense. And you can't want it any more than what we want it. And we've got to transmit that to the players. And the players have got to feel a need. And the fans have got to see that the players have got the need. And when they don't, that's when fans get disgruntled, I think, anyway. But I do as a fan. So,
with all you've done and all the experiences you've had and this club has had, how unusual is it to play a club you've not played before?
Very. And, you know, I've never come across them in any guys, being as a player non-league or as a manager. So, yeah, very unusual and something I'm looking forward to.
As a sort of former non-league player and manager, is it nice to see clubs that come out of non-league doing well in the Football League and establishing themselves in League Two?
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, and for myself and Jimmy, and latterly John, it was just a dream. And, you know, to be able to live that dream is fantastic. And that's why you want to keep living that dream. You know, we do know that the manager, Matty, he's a nice guy. He was on the diploma course with John a year after us, so we come across him a couple of times, and yeah, he's a good fella.
You talk about dreams there. There'll be a couple of players in your changing room dreaming of getting back to first team action this weekend. I know you talked about Joe Pritchard last week. How did that game in the week against Wrexham go for him and for some of the younger or less involved in the first team players?
Apart from conceding a sloppy goal, it couldn't have gone any better, I don't think. We got a lot out of it. Lads got a lot of running out of it as well. Good. It was a great approach to the game. Matt Lowe's and Josh Woods' sprint stats were off the graph, really good. Played some great football, scored some great goals. Joe got a good 65 minutes in the locker, which was brilliant for us. We have the added bonus of Louis Shipley coming back training today, so that's another boost for us. So, you know, yeah, it will, you know, I know it's a cliche, but it will be like getting a new sign and getting Joba.
You said after the game last week that he'll be involved. Is that as much as you can commit at this point? Insert your own comment about me trying to pick your team.
Well, I'll have to have a chat with him this morning and see how he feels.
And Shipley coming back, I know that left-sided defender was something you'd been seeking for such a long time, and you lost him after 88 minutes. Is the landscape slightly different now? Has Ros Longello made that decision a bit harder?
100%. Ross has been really, really good in that position. Showed a great appetite for the game, showed a willingness to learn, which is very good. Am I doing that newfangled thing where I'm nodding to affirm my own comments there? Got to stop that. Yeah, so Ross has done well, and I know Ross can also be potent going forward. So, you know, that gives us the opportunity to change within the game without making a sub, which gives you another string to your bow, really.